Here's something that should genuinely bother you. Right now, at this very moment, there are 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion, each one packed with hundreds of billions of stars. Most of those stars have planets. A good chunk of those planets are sitting right in the zone where liquid water can exist. And yet, silence, total, absolute silence. We've been pointing radio dishes at the sky for over 60 years. We've got satellites, telescopes, detection arrays, some of the most sophisticated listening equipment ever built. And in all that time, across all that searching, nothing. Not one confirmed signal, not one artifact, not one blip we couldn't explain away. So either we are genuinely alone in this incomprehensibly massive universe, which statistically is almost impossible, or something else is going on. Something is stopping them from reaching us. Or stopping them, period. This is called the Fermi Paradox. And recently we've started to figure out what the answer actually is. Spoiler, it's not comforting. So let me back up and actually lay this out properly, because the math here is kind of mind-bending. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi was having lunch with some colleagues, and they were casually chatting about the possibility of alien life. And at some point Fermi just goes, "So where is everybody?" That's it, that was the question. And it's been haunting scientists ever since. Here's the deal. There's an equation called the Drake equation, created by astronomer Frank Drake, that tries to estimate how many communicating civilizations should exist in our galaxy alone. And depending on how optimistic or pessimistic your assumptions are, you get answers ranging from maybe just us all the way to thousands of civilizations, potentially millions. Even with really conservative estimates, the numbers say we should not be alone. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. That's almost 10 billion years older than Earth. There has been more than enough time for civilizations to rise, develop technology, and spread across the galaxy, maybe many times over. So why the silence? Why hasn't anyone shown up? Why haven't we at least picked up some stray signal, some alien Netflix broadcast drifting through space? That's the Fermi Paradox. And the answer, most scientists now believe, has to do with something called the Great Filter. Okay, so imagine the journey from random chemistry on a rock to species capable of traveling between stars as a kind of obstacle course. Step 1, you need a planet in the habitable zone, not too hot, not too cold. Check, we know those exist all over the place now, thanks to Kepler and Webb. Step 2, you need life to actually spark from that chemistry. The leap from interesting molecules to living cell. That's actually still kind of a mystery even on Earth. Step 3, simple life has to become complex life. Single cells to multicellular organisms. Took about 2 billion years on Earth, by the way. Then you need intelligence, then civilization, then technology, then space travel. At each one of those steps, the odds get worse. And somewhere on that list, there's a wall. A step so brutal, so improbable, or so dangerous that virtually nobody makes it through. That's the Great Filter. And here's where it gets genuinely terrifying, because the filter is either behind us or ahead of us. If the filter is behind us, if the hard part was, say, the origin of life itself or the jump to complex cells, then we are the freakish exception. We beat the odds. The rest of the universe is mostly just rocks and microbes, and we somehow made it through the wall. In that case, we're probably fine. We're the lucky ones, but if the filter is ahead of us, then every civilization reaches exactly where we are right now. They get curious. They look up at the stars. They build telescopes and colliders and nuclear weapons and AI, and then something happens, something that ends them every single time, and we are currently walking toward that exact same moment. Now here's something that genuinely messes with people's heads when they first hear it, and I want you to really sit with this for a second. Most of us dream about the day we discover life on Mars, or under the ice of Europa. We imagine it as this triumphant moment, proof that we're not alone. The greatest discovery in human history. But for a lot of scientists, finding life out there would actually be a really bad sign. Think about it. If we go to Mars and find simple microbes or even fossils of them, what does that tell us? It tells us that life isn't the hard part. It tells us that life springs up wherever conditions allow. And if life is common, then the filter, the wall that's killing everyone, probably isn't in the early stages. It's not about getting life started, it's about what happens after. If the galaxy is full of simple life but empty of advanced civilizations, then the most likely scenario is that something systematically wipes out civilizations after they develop intelligence and technology. We are an intelligent civilization with technology. You can see where I'm going with this. The more life we find in the universe, statistically speaking, the more it points toward the filter being something civilizations do or face once they reach our level, not something in their distant past. So what is it? What's the thing that ends civilizations? There are a few theories, and honestly, they all hit different when you think about where we are right now as a species. Option 1, self-destruction, nuclear war, climate collapse, a pandemic engineered in a lab, an AI that decides its creators are the problem. These are the obvious ones, the things we already worry about, and they're genuinely plausible. We've come terrifyingly close to nuclear war more than once. The fact that we're still here is arguably luck as much as anything else. Option 2, the dark forest. This one is actually a theory from Chinese sci-fi author Liu Cixin, and it's deeply unsettling. The idea is that the universe is like a dark forest full of hunters. Every civilization knows other civilizations exist, and every civilization also knows that any other civilization could eventually become a threat. So the rational move, if you want to survive, is to stay silent and eliminate any civilization you detect before they can eliminate you. In this model, the reason we haven't heard anything isn't because there's no one there. It's because everyone else learned the hard way to go quiet, and we are currently standing in the middle of the forest shouting hello at the top of our lungs, broadcasting our location in every direction. That's either really brave or really dumb, depending on how the universe actually works. Option 3, they're past us. Maybe advanced civilizations don't use radio waves anymore. Maybe they've moved to forms of communication we haven't discovered yet. Maybe they're all running as digital consciousness on quantum computers somewhere, completely undetectable to us. Maybe we're just too primitive to be worth contacting, the way you don't stop to explain the internet to an ant colony. Each of these is genuinely possible. We don't know which one is true, that's the honest answer. But the fact that all of them are consistent with the silence we observe. That's what makes the Fermi Paradox so haunting. Here's what we know for certain. We are a young civilization, about 10,000 years of organized society, maybe 300 years of serious science, 60 years of space exploration. In cosmic terms, we just woke up. Right now, with the James Webb Space Telescope, we are searching for technosignatures, signs of industrial activity on other planets, pollution signatures, megastructures around stars. And we're searching deeper than ever before. The silence continues. But we're also getting much better at listening. Meanwhile, on Earth, we're in the middle of the biggest technological leap in our history. AI is accelerating. Biotech is accelerating. Our ability to reshape the planet and to destroy it is greater than it has ever been. If the great filter is ahead of us, this is probably the window where it happens. Not in 10,000 years, not in 1,000, now. In the next few centuries, maybe sooner. Every civilization that ever existed probably had a moment exactly like this one, where they were powerful enough to reach the stars, but not quite stable enough to be sure they'd survived themselves. We just don't know what happened to them next. I don't think the Fermi Paradox is just a cool science puzzle anymore. I think it might be the most important question our species has ever asked itself, because the answer, whatever it is, says something about us, about where we're headed, about whether the story we're in the middle of has a good ending. The silence of the universe might mean we're alone and special, or it might mean we're next in a long line of civilizations that got close and then blinked out. The terrifying thing is we might not know which one it is until it's too late to matter. So do you think the great filter is behind us, or are we heading straight for it? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments. If you want to go deeper on this stuff, the Fermi Paradox, the Drake equation, dark forest theory, subscribe. We're just getting started. Stay curious. The stars are waiting.